Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. So, saw a slew of videos on TikTok, Instagram. Shit kept popping up in my feeds and my For You page about COVID stuff. So it reminded me there was some information that was updated recently, and I figured I was going to make a video about it, and it just kept slipping through the cracks. So if you're not aware, the CDC fairly recently, last month or so, updated their guidelines for COVID. And what are the new COVID guidelines? Glad you asked. And before we get into it, I just want to make it very, very clear. So TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all those assholes, before they decide, because you know that's what they do, before they decide that they're going to hit me with a misinformation strike, all of this information is for you to read, readily available. It was all screenshotted from the CDC website, the Minnesota Department of Health website, and Johns Hopkins Medicine. So go fuck yourself with the inevitable misinformation. Let's get into it. So per the CDC, you are now, if you test positive with COVID, you are advised to quarantine, and that means also within your household, away from your family members, for 5 days. And after the 5 days, as long as you have been fever-free for 24 hours and your symptoms are at bare minimum improving, you are free to go about your business, go out in public, go back to work, do what you got to do. But for the next 5 days, which will put you at a total of 10, for the next 5 days, they want you to wear a high-quality mask to avoid spreading infection to others. Fair enough, right? We'll get back to that. To date, from the start of the pandemic, so end of 2019, beginning of 2020, we have a little over 95.1 million total infections, with approximately 64,300 and something per day, give or take. Now, for the month of August to September, if you look at the little chart up there, there's actually a downward trend with a little uptick at the end, but there's a downward trend of infections per day, or for the month. So how many total deaths did we have? Since the beginning of the pandemic, we've had a little over 1 million. Cool, okay, that's not good. I mean, you don't want to have over 1 million deaths. And we've estimated daily average of about 358 total per day average. So what's that look like when you crunch the numbers? Damn, y'all got good questions today. So if you do the slightly over 1 million divided by the total number of deaths that we've had in the United States, that gives you a grand total of, ready for it, 1.1% chance of dying from COVID. Listen, I don't want to get the misinformation flag, so this is just an opinion. This is not a fact. This is an opinion. Doesn't seem like a very high percentage chance of dying to me. I'm not saying COVID's not real. COVID is 100% real. I'm not saying COVID isn't dangerous, because it is 100% dangerous. Of course it is. Anytime you get a virus like that, that's killed any number of people. It can potentially be dangerous, absolutely. I'm just saying, there's a whole lot more things you deal with in your everyday life that you've got a greater likelihood of dying from. Just throwing that out there. Having said that, let's take a look. How many people, let's say tuberculosis, airborne, extremely dangerous. How many people contracted tuberculosis? How many people die per year? Glad you asked. In 2018, you ready? 1.7 billion people contracted tuberculosis, despite the fact that we've had a vaccine since fucking forever. 1.7 billion. With an average of 1.5 million dying per year. Not through the whole pandemic, per year. Despite our advances in medicine and having a vaccine since forever. Now, do those numbers mean that COVID isn't bad? Of course it doesn't. But it does raise some questions. Again, this is where the opinions come in. These are just fucking thought-provoking questions. I'm not saying that any of these things are facts that you have to take to the bank, but if we've had a vaccine for tuberculosis for that long, and in 2018, the year before COVID struck, we had 1.7 billion people infected and 1.5 million per year dying. Why weren't we wearing masks? Because it sounds to me like 1.7 billion. That's a lot of people. And if these masks are going to protect us from airborne viruses, we should have been wearing masks in 2018, right? What is the difference between the two that prompted us to be so panicky over COVID and not tuberculosis? It's on the tip of my tongue. I'm going to get it. Hold on. They told you to be fucking afraid. They told you to be afraid. That is the difference. Every single one of you walked around without wearing a mask. Well, 1.7 billion people were dying all over the place. You walked around gleefully ignorant in your bliss. But 1 million people die in like a 2-year span. And the government, the powers that be, the media, they tell you you need to mask up. And you're like, I'm going to be a good little sheep to put my mask on. To this day, despite CDC laxing on their rules and everything, I still watch people walking around with their masks on, getting upset with people not wearing their masks. Not so much here in Florida because we're not psychopaths. I still see people driving around in their car alone with their mask on. Y'all need to wake up. Y'all need to wake up. Now I know what you're gonna say, you naysayers, you rascally little devils. Well, the vaccine's not supposed to, it's not gonna stop you from getting it. You're right, and that's part of the argument. Because a study was conducted by Washington State University or whoever of 4 million vaccinated people, and 1 out of every 5,000 people that were fully vaccinated, boosters, everything, fully vaccinated, still contracted COVID. And per the websites, the medical research, more recent studies have been done that show 1 in every 100 people who are fully vaccinated still get COVID. Well, you know, the vaccine, you know, it's not going to stop you from getting it, but it will lessen your symptoms. Well, that's funny because, listen, and I don't particularly care for it when people do this to me because it's not really a valid argument. I prefer facts and statistics and data, but a lot of what you do, you have to be able to base it off of what you see as well if you're going to make an educated decision. I know a lot of people that are vaccinated that have gotten COVID, and it was brutal. It was still brutal. They come in and they're like, oh my God, I felt like I was going to die, and da-da-da-da-da-da. I'm not saying don't get vaccinated. Do whatever you want. Whatever makes you happy. Just stop attacking people that choose not to get vaccinated. Just for shits and giggles. I looked it up, and I pulled up a graph just to show you the number of people that were sick and died with COVID by their vaccination status. Are you ready? Let's look at the numbers. Boom. So, from ages 18 to 49, fully vaccinated, you had 14.1 people died out of every 100,000 people. Then we move on to 50 to 64. So, same order, not fully vaccinated, and boosted. You have 29.8 per 100,000, 6.4, and 4.5. So, right there, you're saving anywhere between 25 and 23 or so people. Again, is it better? Of course it's better. Is it life-alteringly better? 25 people out of 100,000? Is it though? And then we move on to 65 plus. And this is where the biggest discrepancy is. And I don't think this really is all that confusing, because older people have a tendency to pass over the rainbow bridge a little more often because of sicknesses. So 65 plus, 136.6 not fully vaccinated, 22.2 fully vaccinated, and boosted is 14.6. So you're saving over 100 per category by having some kind of vaccine or so forth. So is that much better? Yes. Should old people get the vaccine if they feel uncomfortable and that they need it? I fully support it, and I think that you absolutely should, 100%. Having said that, that still doesn't account for the other, I don't know, 99,900 people that didn't die from COVID that weren't vaccinated. I'm not giving you these numbers to try and convince you don't get the vaccine. Absolutely do what makes you happy, makes you comfortable. I'm just making sure you have all the information to get the smartest decision possible. Just don't be a sheep. If you do the research and you're more comfortable getting it, then get it. Just don't do it because somebody fucking told you.